Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are out there. Again, my name is Carson Cook, and thank you so much, guys, for joining us today on the Go Free Pay training number 1. I'm going to actually be your guide throughout this whole entire process. We are very excited to have you here with us here at Go Free Pay, your cash discounting and processing experts. We're going to be taking you through this course. Guiding you along the way, but there's a lot of very good sales training and also processing information in this that's going to help you get to the highest top tier level, guys, when you're working with us. Okay, so it's very important that not only you pay very close attention to the training, whether you've had a lot of experience in merchant processing or not. We go through a lot of very highly skilled dynamic sales tactics and procedures that are very efficient within selling cash discount. It's 90% of our book of business, so very excited to have you here, guys. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll jump right in. Again, guys, welcome to Go Free Pay, where we strive for excellence. Today, for booklet number 1, we're going to talk about the agenda. So we're going to go over what we're actually going to be covering. So please feel free, just like we said before, to take as many notes as possible. Make sure that you have those documents that were actually sent out to you along with this training printed off and in front of you. If you don't have them, push pause on the video or pull the PDF up on your computer. So then that way you have everything in front. But for day 1, what we're going to actually be doing is we're going to be covering the agenda. So kind of going over what we're going to be covering the next 4 days or 4 sections. Some of you might be able to jump ahead and get day 1 and 2 done in the same day. It does happen. But for those of you that are going through, we've sectioned it out into 4 different sections with a quiz in the middle and then a final test at the end. And we'll get more into that. So we're going to talk a little bit about our company profile. So who is Go Free? What do we do? What do we strive for? What's our mission? Who do we work with? And who are we partnered with? Extremely important. Then we're going to actually go into processing 101. Again, if you have been in merchant services, please feel free to skip this section and kind of move on to our company process, which leads us into the 6 steps of the sale. Then we're going to actually speak about objections. These are super huge, especially if you've been in processing before. You definitely want to pay attention to our sales process. And you also want to go into the objection section because we cover a lot on how to deal specifically with cash discounting objections, concerns from your merchant and your potential clients. Then day 2, we're actually going to go into equipment training. We're going to talk a little bit about the different equipment solutions that we offer here at Go Free Payments. We have a vast array of different partners that we work with, as well as the equipment applications that are best for the merchant. Then we're going to speak about the perfect paperwork. We're going to go into where we get our appointments from the call center. Where do we get our leads? We're also going to talk about the Google Drive. So where would we go to get everything printed off and ready for the field, or anything that we needed downloaded as a PDF to have ready for your tablet, for your merchants and that kind of stuff. We're also going to speak about prospecting. We have one of the best prospecting scripts out there, guys. We use it heavily within our call center. We also use it heavily with our clients. So it's extremely well tested in the field. We're going to kind of cover that mindset and the idea of how to actually do that. After that, after you're finished with the second slide, guys, or the second day, we're going to have a mid-training quiz. Now, you must complete this quiz, guys, and you must get 80% or above to pass to move on to the next section. Then day 3, we're going to go into sales mentality. So what are the key characteristics or the mentality of the top 1 to 5% of the individuals that are extremely successful in this industry? So that way you can actually study and become in the proper mindset for that. We're also going to go more into the prospecting script, exactly how we actually do it. You'll hear a couple pre-recordings of this, guys. They're called hot sessions. We do them regularly with our managers in the office, as well as our agents in the field. So extremely good information and content there that you can replay, rewind, re-listen to, and so on and so forth. We're going to actually rehash a little bit more on the steps of the sale. We're going to actually speak at that point about closing. So what are the tactics once you've built yourself up, built the sale up to this very point? Then 4, we're going to actually go into a review of handling the objections. We'll talk about the top objections and then the 15 most common objections that you're going to find when selling cash discount. Okay, and that's very, 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 very valuable, especially given the product that we sell. And then we'll finalize with a very hot session. After that, guys, we're actually going to have a final test. You must score at least 80% on the final test. The test is comprised of about 20 to 25 questions, very specific to the training. So please stay focused on this, guys. It's going to make sure that you go through this with a fine-tooth comb so that you're actually able to pass and work with us, okay? Second thing that we actually do finally is that as soon as you're completed with the 4-day training, we actually have a hot session with you. So we do a verbal where we actually go through a role-playing session where we're the merchant, okay? You're the sales rep, we're the sales rep, and you're the merchant, to give you a very good idea of what some of the objections are going to come through. So you want to make sure that you study and you're very well prepared for that, okay? The most important thing, though, that is important with this, guys, that if you are at this point, if you're in this training right now, you want to make sure that you have the checklist to complete for training and how to join the actual team. The first thing is that we need to sign the new hire paperwork. More than likely, if you're on this training right now, you actually received new hire paperwork. You need to make sure that you do get that signed. It should have came through via DocuSign or Adobe Sign or hard copy. You want to make sure that you print that off. You sign it, you send it back. You also want to make sure that you print off the training material. So if you haven't done that yet, please pause this video. Go print the documents that came along with this training so that you have it in front of you. Black and white is completely fine, or you can have them up as a PDF. You want to complete each day of training with the quiz. You need to score above 80% on each quiz, complete the final test, score 80% on the test, and then finally we arrive at the hot session, okay, which is where we're going to do the role play. All right, so please feel free, like we said before, just a word of advice. During this training, if there is something that you need to rewind, rewatch, feel free to do so. Pause the video, whatever you want. Each section also is going to be comprised of breaks. Okay, so during the break, take your time, get up, review your notes, grab a glass of water, grab a drink, grab some food, come back, and then restart the video as necessary. Okay, so who are we? What do we do? It's very important, guys, to understand who we are, what our mission is, what our core values are, and what we do. This is an extremely competitive business and in a very extremely competitive space. So we sell a multitude of products that are very specific for merchants to help them save money, to run their business, to operate, and that plays very heavily, guys, into our mission and exactly what we do here at GoFreePay, okay? Here at GoFreePay, our mission is to educate businesses on the fact that they no longer have to pay merchant processing service fees, and they shouldn't. We believe businesses should have the best technology in the market, helping them ensure that their business is running at the top efficiency levels while ensuring that they don't pay for someone else's convenience. Okay, and that is huge. We are heavily a cash discounting shop here, guys, at GoFreePayments. And we very much believe in it. We actually use it as well. So it's a key aspect of what we do. So a little bit about us, guys, just real quick. Who's your leadership? Again, my name is Carson Cook, guys. I'm actually one of the sales management consultants here at GoFreePay. We've done a lot of consulting with various different ISOs, offices. We also own a few different services providers that actually offer a lot of different things for merchant services, ISOs out there, including recruiting, management, consulting, lead generation, funnel building, all sorts of different areas. And we also are working on a project called Card Builder, which is an extremely valuable tool, which we can probably touch on, and we'll probably talk a little bit later after this course. Craig Dury, also CEO at GoFreePay. Also very, very, very long experience, guys, with the merchant services. Used to work for various other ISOs as, all the way from the bottom all the way to the top, as a president of office, vice president of office, extremely knowledgeable sales. You're actually going to hear him today in a few of the hot sessions. Britton Stender, our CEO or management of operations, also kind of leading the financial space with us, dealing with accounting, also extremely good with the lead generation and the back-end operations of the company. So you're actually going to hear a little bit from him in this training as well. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. What are some of the services that we offer here with GoFreePay? Well, GoFreePay is an electronic commerce and payment services company. We're driving today's global shift towards an electronic-based economy, especially right now, guys, with the newest things coming out, like, for example, Bitcoin. Electronic payments is actually taking over cash. It is a huge industry to get into. It's ever-changing, and it's not going anywhere. We process every type of electronic payments method along with a wide array of other services for our customers. So what we do, guys, we do credit card processing, we do debit card processing, electronic checks, which not a lot of people use, but they're still there. We do merchant cash advances. We also do business loans. We also offer partners in consumer financing, which is where we give our merchants the ability to offer financing to their merchants or to their customers. We do internet commerce solutions. So we actually can do online through funnels via authorize.net, NMI, and various other partners. We also do electronic fund transfers. We do store value cards, or what we would call gift cards. And obviously, if you see, guys, there in green, our biggest program out there is our zero fee processing program, where we allow our merchants to process absolutely free. The processing part is free. Depending on the scenario and the situation, sometimes we do charge for equipment. A lot of times we actually do for a commission up front. We're going to get into that. And then we offer a vast array of point of sale stations and systems for our merchants that are very particular to that particular type of business or business niche that they're in, but we have a solution for them, okay? And also lead generation. That's one of the biggest things, guys, that's a benefit with working with GoFreePay is that we're extremely valued in our lead generation. We actually have a lot of our competitors that are clients of ours for lead generation. So it's important to understand that you're working with the best. So incentives, we're gonna get right into incentives, okay? This is gonna keep you focused. It would definitely keep me focused. It's also going to kind of keep you on track to finish the training and pay attention extremely well because you're going to see what money is actually at stake here, guys. And this is one of the most lucrative businesses to be in. But when you know that, it's also one of the most competitive. So this training is going to give you a leg up. It's going to help kill your learning curve and get you to the point where we're actually hitting these numbers. Now, as we look, guys, we also do lease equipment. We do a very good job with it. We're very confident with it. There's a lot of negativity surrounding leasing in our industry, but at the end of the day, we do a very, very good job. We have barely any chargebacks. We don't have any issues with leasing, especially with merchants with us are saving a ton of money on processing, and 90% of our book of business here at GoFreePay is cash discount. So we actually don't have an issue with it. It is a little bit trickier if you're doing traditional processing, and we'll get into that later where leasing can be a problem. But for us, it's not an issue whatsoever. So if you're looking at this, guys, the average deal payout is based off of a $99 lease. This is what we call our $99 program. So unlimited volume, unlimited swipes for $99 a month, okay? The processing is free. We charge a little bit for the equipment, but the payout average on that for you, depending on the mode of the sale, which also means the merchant's credit, okay, our average payout is about $800 per deal. Now, starting reps or starting agents are going to close 1 to 3 deals per week. So looking at an average of 2 deals per week, you're looking at about $6,400 a month, which is not too bad. That's $66,800 per year. Now, you have to remember, this does not include the residual. Now, that is going to be something different. You'll also make a percentage of each swipe that comes through the businesses and the clients that you set up. And again, that is going to heavily depend on their volume, the type of program that you do sell, but it works its way out to be about 90 to 80 basis points, maybe 120 basis points for the company, maybe 160, just kind of depends on the cards that come through. And then you get your pro agent 50% split. So we're very excited to offer that with 0 front-loaded end. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's completely fine. Just pay attention to this. Top reps or agents close about 7 deals a week, okay, given our lead generation and our prospecting abilities. These are top-level agents, okay? They bring in close to about $20,000 to $25,000 a month, and that, again, does not include their residual. So these figures are extremely realistic. If you pay attention, you learn, and you master every part of this training, and it will take doing some homework. It will take some repetition. It will take some practice and some experience, but you definitely can and will get there, and that's exactly why you're in this training. So with that being said, now that we know what's at stake, we've got to get to know the industry. So if you haven't been in processing before, pay very close attention to this. We're going to go through exactly how processing works, Merchant Processing 101, to get a good grasp on exactly what we do, how the industry works, who are the players, and so on and so forth. If you have been in processing before, guys, you are more than welcome to skip this section and move on to the next section, which is the steps of the sale, but we'll go from there, okay? So credit card processing, guys, first off, how does it work? Well, the funny part about our industry is that your clients, your merchants, 99% of them are truly not going to understand the full process. They're not really going to understand how it works. Some of them will have some sort of grasp, have some sort of idea, but you're selling a product to someone who, if you sat down and explained this whole process to them, would probably fall asleep. Okay, merchants do not care how it works, most of them, okay? And they don't understand, and they just care about their bill. Now, again, they do care about customer service. They do care about you. They care about your rapport building skills. And we're going to get more into that in the steps of the sale. But the idea is to understand how it works so that you can better sell and understand the process of how you get paid. Not only that, but how the money goes to the merchant's account, so on and so forth. So the idea with this is that when a transaction comes through a machine, okay, a card holder, so that would be you or a consumer, goes into a business, number 2, they use the card. Once that card is swiped, it goes to the merchant account provider, which happens to be us, okay? And our equipment, our network, our team, we reach back out, through our bank to Visa and MasterCard. Visa and MasterCard says, hey, they do have the funds. Let's check and see if they do. So they go to number 5, the issuing bank, is responsible for issuing the card to the cardholder, right? And that thing, and the Visa MasterCard says, hey, do they have the funds? The issuing bank says, yes, they do, or we'll cover the cost, or whatever program they're on. They give the confirmation back to Visa and MasterCard, which then and therefore it comes back to us, the merchant account provider, or our bank. And then it actually goes back to the merchant and says the authorization has been approved. So it shows up on the screen that says approved. Now, the funny part about this, throughout this network, there's a lot of things happening and a lot of money exchanging hands. So the thing that I want you to take away from this is that anytime money exchanges hands, there's a fee. There is a cost of doing business every single time. In remittance, there is a cost of doing business. So it's key to understand is that a merchant thinks that when you swipe a card, money comes out of your account and it goes right into theirs. Like, it's a very simple process. Well, that's not true. It goes through a multitude of different networks and issuing banks, which means that there's a fee associated with it. And that's where the fees come in, where merchants pay. We're going to get more into pricing and actually how it works. But essentially, I think the idea that you want to take away from this is that money exchanges hands, it costs money. That's why the merchant pays fees for this service. Now, there's two different really type of accounts that you need to be concerned with, and they're also associated with different rates. And we'll talk about why. The first one is a retail account. Now, a retail account is something that we describe as being anything face-to-face or brick and mortar. Anything where there's a physical transaction from the card being handed to someone, the chip being put in, or contactless payments, however it works. But at that point, that person is in the retail shop. Okay, they are giving the card to someone, they're putting the chip in, so on and so forth. Now, this is a face-to-face transaction, so they have lower rates associated with this pricing model. And the reason the rates are lower is because there's less risk. The person is there, and throughout the whole proper procedure, there's a lot of fraud detection keys, right? For example, would be putting in your PIN for a debit card, signing your name, checking the signature on the back of the card, on the ID. But again, it's a lower risk transaction, so therefore there's lower rates. Now, the second type of account is called a Moto account. Now, this is anything online, any funnels, anytime you buy anything online, which is one of the biggest and upcoming type of businesses, Amazon, that is a non-face-to-face transaction, so the rates are actually higher. And the reason the rates are higher is because there's more fraud, there's more risk. Anytime there's more risk, there's going to be more of a cost of doing business. Okay, so it's important to just take those two key aspects of the two different types of accounts. And if you're asking, yes, we do offer both. We also offer cash discounting online as well, and we'll speak more about that later. So to understand the pricing models, this is important, okay? Because of a very specific reason within processing. If you understand the processing models, we can kind of get into what we sell here at GoFreePay and why it really matters. The first one and most common is what we call interchange plus or cost plus pricing. This means that whatever the cost of the card is, no one can do anything about interchange, okay? There's no special deal from your cousin, okay, or negotiating with the credit card companies. Even Walmart or Amazon has to pay interchange, right? Whoever's handling that account makes the plus part. That would be us. If we sell something on Interchange Plus, that means that they're getting interchange as a cost, as a bill to them, and the plus part, or the cost part plus, is us, is the profit that we take. So what merchants need to understand is that just because they get a bill for $500, okay, doesn't mean that GoFreePay gets all that $500 for the service. So that means we could charge them $300 if we wanted to be nice. That's not true. Okay, the bill that we give them is comprised of interchange plus our profit. The majority of a merchant's bill, all the time, most of the time, the majority of that bill, that $500, that $1,000, whatever they pay, goes to pay interchange. It goes to pay the issuing banks, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and all of those fees. And the little bit above that is what we make. We'll go into detail about that. But each card issued out there in the field, okay, where you're selling in the market, okay, there's thousands upon thousands of cards. So this is a difficult pricing model for merchants to understand because they don't know what they're going to pay, because they don't know what kind of card comes in. They just know the profit. It'll be possibly cheaper, but one month it could be more expensive. We'll get more into detail of how this works, but at the end of the day, it's a very complicated reporting and type of reporting and processing. So that's why a lot of ISOs developed tiered pricing, or what we call ERR or bill block. Okay, bill block or ERR is not on here, but it's a combination of both interchange plus and tiered in a way. Tiered pricing is where there's three different categories. They took all the thousands of cards out there and they said, okay, we're just going to go ahead and put them in 3 different buckets and charge merchants 3 different ways. Okay, so we'll go into more about that right here. So Interchange Plus, just to give you an example, look at the chart here. Okay, the chart here kind of shows if all these cards came through this business and there was a total cost, you would add up all of these cards and the fees and then give the merchant the final bill. Now the problem is there's various amounts of costs that are associated with each card. Okay, and the merchant just sees the top of each bar graph, guys. This is super important. That if you look on the screen here, the merchant just sees the total of all these. What they don't see, okay, is that they think GoFreePay or any ISO, okay, just to give you an example, they think any ISO collects $500, $600 a month, and it's comprised of all this, but they could just bring it down if they wanted. But that's not true. In some cases, the bank fees and the costs are below our profit, which means that if you price a merchant at $500, but the interchange is $550, we still have to bill the merchant $500, but we have to pay $550 for interchange. Therefore, GoFreePay loses $50 a month from this merchant. Okay, so that's called ill pricing, bad pricing, no profit pricing, which is not very good. But at the end of the day, we just want to understand that Interchange Plus is cost plus. So our profit would be the green. So some cards we make money on, some we don't. Or on cost plus, we would make profit on all cards. Okay, there should be profit on all cards. Now getting to tiered pricing, we'd say, okay, well, with all those thousands of cards out there, let's just make it simple. We're onto tiered pricing. Okay, when a merchant gets a bill for tiered pricing, they're going to just see 3 different categories. Okay, they're going to see one category possibly for like 1%, and that's where ISOs will actually kind of pitch that. That's their sell. We only charge 1%. That gets the salesman in the door. The only problem is a merchant's not going to be paying 1% because it's 1% plus 2% plus 3.75 if you're on ERR or bill block, and these will be lower, or if it's just flat amount per card, depending on how the card is classified. Okay, the qualified rates and the qualified cards are extremely low, guys. They're like no rewards. They don't offer anything back to the card holder. There's no bonuses for using those cards. It's just a credit card, right? Then if we start talking about the mid-qualified cards, those are more premium cards, okay? So cards that offer cashback rewards, usually associated with credit unions. Then we have our non-qualified cards, which are extremely expensive. They offer the most cash back to the customer, more like American Express, Visa Black, that kind of stuff, so it comes with a higher rate. Okay, so to understand that, guys, we need to understand a little bit of the lingo before we get into the product that we sell. Now, why do we not go too much into pricing? Because it doesn't matter that much, especially when you kind of understand the product that we sell at GoFreePay. We just need to understand how the program works, and we'll get more into that later. So a little bit on lingo that we need to understand, guys. Merchant is the merchant that you're selling to, your customer. Credit card processing statement is a bill that they get every month for running transactions or running cards. Now, nowadays, merchants usually don't get credit card statements. Okay, it's probably only about 25% now that get statements. Most of them can be found online. This is why we sell cash discount. We actually don't need a statement for our sales process. We can obtain one, or we can get one if you want to. But at the end of the day, we don't necessarily require a credit card statement. Now, if a merchant gives you one, we can look at it. We have a part where we'll talk with that. Your national accounts director can also give you some examples of statements. They're actually going to go over that with you. Interchange. Okay, interchange is a very big word in our industry, guys. It means cost. That means that no one can go below interchange. Interchange is the cost of doing business in the whole United States. Okay, so that card interchange cost is anywhere. If I go to Hawaii and I use my card, that interchange is set with that card. Okay, the best way that I like to describe it is that the engine in your car, that engine was specific for that car, right? And that's what comes with it, right? That's it. Comes with that VIN number, the engine comes with that. Same thing, that card is issued with interchange, and then whoever sells that card or sells the services gets to decide how the merchant is charged. Rate is huge, guys. We'll talk about rate and why it's so important, very important term in our industry. Transactions and transaction fees. That means that these are the fees that take place that are listed on the merchant processing statement for the merchant. Terminal is a basic unit that people use to take cards. So auto shops, PAX 8920s, Clover Flexes, very small smart POS terminals. It's referred to as a terminal. We also speak about POS systems. Now, POS systems are computer-based systems, okay, that you're going to start seeing nowadays, guys. Most merchants now have smaller point-of-sale systems. They're getting rid of the older terminals. These are sometimes complicated systems that keep track of pretty much every single source of business. Super dynamic. You can do a lot with point of sale systems. We're going to learn that here in the equipment training, a little bit about the functionality and some of the different things. Side by side is where a merchant is using an older POS or a point of sale station, but they're not processing through it. They're processing through a terminal that might be on the side. Sometimes this happens. It's happening less and less nowadays, but it is a way to still keep an older system but process on a different platform. Okay. Batches and batch fees, these are when the money gets sent to the bank. Okay. Little old terminals, you used to have to batch the terminals, but now the POS systems generally will send the money automatically. It will be set with what we call auto batch. Fees, PCI compliance, and EMV. Fees, guys, are obviously the fees that merchant is charged. PCI compliance is something that is still talked about. Okay, it is something that is a set of rules and regulations that govern processing and the compliance of the merchant and how they're taking transactions to help reduce fraud and risk. Okay, so it's very important to understand that. If a merchant is not PCI compliant, they will receive a fee every month for not doing so or not completing their quiz or test every year that they have to take. We actually help our merchants do that. We remind them, we actually call them, make sure that we take care of that for them. Okay, at GoFreePay. EMV compliance means that they have to be chip compliant. It's very rare nowadays, but you'll still see merchants that actually still swipe cards, and they still issue cards with a swipe bar on them. But that is a very risky transaction. Okay, EMV stands for Euro, MasterCard, Visa, and it stands for the little chip that's inside the cards that you can actually tap the screen to pay or put the chip in. Statement fees, we talked about that too. So merchants will also get statement fees as well as all sorts of others. Monthly minimums mean that they have to process a certain value or they receive a fee. So if they don't process, for example, in a month, this comes into play when you're actually selling a merchant that's seasonal. They still might receive like a $25 fee or so. Okay. The next one is cancellation fees. Okay. Cancellation fees are what does it cost to cancel a processing account? The average cancellation fee can range from $295 all the way up to $495. Okay, and that's kind of the minimum and a standard. Most ISOs have cancellation fees. We have programs that do have cancellation fees, guys, attached to them, and we have some that don't. It's going to be very particular on the certain scenario, that merchant. Okay, and we can also pay for cancellation fees to get people out of their current contract. Okay, your national accounts director will talk more about that. For just the lingo part of it, that's what we're going to talk about. Now, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is that we didn't go into detail on pricing. We just understand that there is Interchange Plus and there's tiered pricing. Okay, there's bill block, there's fixed rate, right? That is like Square, where Square just charges 2.75%. They don't have a contract. They made it very simple. They recently changed their pricing from 2.75% to 2.6% plus 10 cents a swipe because they were losing money. We're not going to go into detail, but just know that all of these different pricing models are extremely complicated, okay? And it's so complicated that we could sit here for 4 days and talk about all the different rates and fees and how they can price them and how the statisticians work with Visa and MasterCard with their clients to create a solution for how they're paying their bills and why there's the interchange costs associated. But we're not going to do that because it will bore you, number one. Number two, merchants don't care, you shouldn't care. At the end of the day, to understand pricing, how it truly works, what you need to do is you need to go to YouTube, research interchange pricing or research tiered pricing to get more of a handle on it. What we want you here at GoFreePay to memorize is essentially what merchants memorize. Okay, it's called the effective rate. Now you say, Carson, well, what is the effective rate? Well, most merchants don't have time to breathe. They're extremely busy. They're business owners. Okay, they have a lot to do. So they don't really want to understand processing. What they want is they want to know how much they pay. And the fastest way that they can figure out how they pay is they look at what's coming out of their bank account and they put it towards how much they did in sales. Okay, so the effective rate is essentially how much their bill was divided their total credit card sales. Okay, now the cool part about that is that this means that with all the competition in our market, okay, with all the people selling credit card processing, where in this training, we're going to teach you not to sound like them. That gives you an idea that there is a national average. Now, if there's a national average, you don't need to know what the merchant, you don't need to have a statement to sell a deal. At GoFreePay, we don't use statements to sell deals. Because there's no better deal anymore, okay, we used to go around, guys, years ago and see merchants that were paying 3%, sometimes 4%, sometimes they have a good deal and they pay 2.5%. Nowadays, with all the competition, there is no more better deal than cash discounting. No more better deal, okay? Which means that if you walk into a business, they've probably been through one or two different processes before, and you look at them and you say, well, you know what, to be honest with you, there's no more better deal. You're getting the national average. I don't care if you are, you got your cousin doing your processing, your mom doing your processing, your best friend. At the end of the day, you love your company, okay, but you can't do anything about interchange, and someone still has to make a profit. So the national average is it's between 2 and 3%. Merchants' bills are between 2 and 3%. So you don't need to see a statement to see what they do. You just take their bill divided by their gross. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how that's super important in the next section in the steps of the sale. But for now, you just need to understand that between 2 to 3% means that a merchant's going to be paying between $200 to $300 a month for every $10,000 in credit card sales that they do. If they got a great deal and they're at 1.9, that'd be $190 for every $10,000, right? So if it's $200, okay, 2%, let's just say 2% for the sake of this example, or 2.75. If the merchant does $10,000, it's $275. If they do $20,000 in sales, it's $275 times 2. So you automatically off the bat can say, well, if your bill's $400 and I charge $99, I can save you $300 a month. I can put it in writing for you, right? So selling cash discount is extremely important, but to understand this, we must know what effective rate is. Again, if you're a business owner and you're busy, you're just going to take your bill divided by your gross. You're going to look at it, and there you go. Now, anytime you hear a merchant say they pay less than 1%, that means that they don't know how to read their bill, or they don't get a bill and they don't understand processing. They're just going off what their old sales agent had told them before. Okay? No one pays under 1%, okay, unless they're on cash discount. So our program, our Edge program, our zero fee program is basically cash discounting. What that means is our program allows us to turn every price listed in the business as the cash discounted price. What that means is that what they see on the menu, what they see on the wall, whatever's listed and stickered, that is the cash price. Anytime they use a card, an additional 4% or a second price is issued for that item. Okay? All of our point of sale systems have this capability to where they will automatically add in that 4% to the sale price, which is what we call our Edge program. And on the Clovers, it also will do the same thing with the cash discounting app. What I mean by that is that it will show the customer the sale price of the item, it'll show the extra 4%, it'll discount it if they use cash, and it'll keep it on there if they use a credit card. Now, it's always going to be 4%. Okay, we get this question a lot. This is actually one of our objections or concerns, is if we charge our customer, can we charge them a little bit less? The answer is yes, but you are going to kill your profit. And at the end of the day, the safest way to promise a merchant free processing is to charge the full amount. Now you can see where this program for you, the agent and the company, can be very profitable. If the interchange is 2%, let's say, or 1.8% or 1.5%, that's the cost of the account being open. But if we're charging their customers 4%, you can see why this makes so much more profit in residual. Not only that, but these accounts stick around a lot longer than traditional processing. The reason why, it's very difficult for a merchant that owns a restaurant going from $2,000 a month in fees down to $200 a month for a machine. Okay, with over $1,700 to $1,800 in savings every month, it's difficult for them to do this program for 9 months and say, okay, well, I'm going to go back to paying $2,000 a month. So you can see that this program is also worth more. We discussed that on your recruiting call, also before you kind of came into Go Free Training, that this is the most lucrative and most beneficial program for merchants out there. And we've been selling it for an extremely long period of time. So who's our target market with this? Who are the kind of people that we can sell cash discount to? Who are the kind of people that we can actually work through an effective rate, find out what they're paying, and say, okay, great, well, our program is this. So you take whatever you're paying minus that, and that's how much I can save you every single month, every single year. Well, our target markets for this program are pretty much every business. Any high-ticket business and any low-ticket business. We can sell to auto shops, furniture stores, jewelry, appliances, electronics, sports equipment, power sports, bicycles, pets and pet supply places, power tools, outdoor, car stereo and alarm, medical services, transmission repair, and tune-ups. Okay, these are all high-ticket items. All high-ticket businesses will also be good with cash discount. Okay, when someone's spending more money, the more likely they're spending more money, the more likely they want the product. So you can tell your merchant, you know, you believe it or not, your customer comes here because of not the price, but it's the product. Our program is also very good, guys, for low volume businesses, gas stations, coffee shops, bakeries, pay at the counter restaurants, small ticket stores, dollar stores, bagel places, cupcake shops, sub shops, small ticket restaurants, emission shops, any ticket below $25 per sale. This program is especially good, guys, for gas stations because sometimes running a small transaction of $1 or $2 can lose the gas station money because the cost of running that transaction is higher than the profit margin or what they're making on that Snicker bar. So cash discounting is perfect to help them make profit on every single transaction. Okay, so we're going to get into the next steps of the sale. We'll take a break here in a moment, but one thing I wanted to rehash and recover is cash discounting. Cash discounting is what GoFreePay sells. This is what we do. This is how it works. Anytime a transaction comes in, okay, an additional 4% is added to the price of that item or the total list of items. The reason we do that is because we take all that money, okay, guys, we take all the money, right, that is saved up, that 4% goes here, and it goes to pay the interchange and the processing bill, and then we get what's left over. So when we deal with our merchants, we say this program is phenomenal. We'll go through the steps of the sale here in a moment about it. But what we do is we take all that cash, we pay off the processing, the merchant gets the process for free. Okay, they can process unlimited volume, unlimited swipes, $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month, $500,000 a month, and their bill is only going to be what we charge for the equipment. Okay, so it's super important that they can put that pure net profit back in their business. And we'll go through that during the objection section. But that's what we need to understand is that what we're doing is in that store on the menu, everything that we have listed on the menu, everything that we have listed here, we are now just turning those prices into cash prices. That is the listed discount price. Okay, then there comes in tax and then everything else if they pay cash. But if they pay with a card, there's an additional 4% that's added into that price. And that's what we use to pay the merchant's processing. In order to understand that, it's key that you want to take away from this is that you need to understand effective rate. Okay, understanding effective rate and the national average of between 2 and 3% is how you sell this deal. You now know what the merchant is going to pay. Okay, there's no more special deal. You don't need a statement to find that out. Okay, you can look around and say, well, just tell me your processing volume. Merchant will say $10,000. They say, great, well, you know, the national average is 2 to 3%. So for $10,000, you're probably paying between $2 and $300. Am I right? Yes. Okay. So if it's $30,000 and they pay between 2 to 3%, okay, that means that they're paying between $600 to $900. Okay, so it's 200 times 3, 600, right? So if they got a good deal at $30,000, they got an amazing deal and they're paying 2%, they're paying $600. They have a bad deal, they're paying $900. Okay, so 3% times 3, right? I'm sorry, 3% of $10,000 is $300 times 3 is $900. So you now are going to put yourself in a position where, you know what, Mr. Merchant, I don't have to see a statement. I already know what you pay. I mean, you could have the world's best deal or the world's worst deal, but you're between 2 and 3%. Now, if I know that, well, then what's your processing volume? You can look around and say, well, you do about $20,000, $30,000 a month. Am I right? And they might say, yeah, about 20. Okay, so you're between $400 and $600 a month in fees, right? Great. Well, what is it? They might say, about 500. Okay, great. Well, ours is $100 a month. That means I'm going to save you $400 a month. Okay, $400 a month is a lot of money. What could you do with that? So it's important to understand, guys, for pricing and understand credit card pricing. The thing that you need to understand is effective rate. Okay, very key. So understanding effective rate, number one, and number two, understanding the national average. Every merchant, if they're on traditional processing, I don't care who you are, they're going to be paying 2 to 3%. Okay. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a little bit of a short break, okay, before we come back here. So go ahead, guys, grab a glass of water, grab a drink. We'll see you right back here, guys, for the next part of the section, which is going to be the 6 steps of the sale. Very excited about this part, guys. This is where we train you on how to sell these deals. So get up, go grab a glass of water, get something to eat, relax, refresh, take some notes. I will see you here shortly. All right, guys, welcome back from your break. I hope you had a fantastic break, guys, and we're going to get going into the next part of the training, which is going to be the 6 steps to the sale. Okay, this is an extremely important part of this very training. It's what defines us here at Go Free Pay, and it's one of the edges that we have above our competition, is the fact that we've been working selling cash discount for years, since its inception back when Randy Valeska had the DTI stuff. I know you don't know what that is, or maybe you don't, maybe you do, maybe you don't. And it patented some software that went into the Deja Vu units 10, 12 years ago. We've been selling it ever since. So that's one of the things that we do. We're one of the ISOs that has 90% or more of our book of business as cash discount. It's all we sell. And it's very specifically to these steps. And it's in this sales process that we're going to go over with you today. So you're going to get some hands-on experience with this. And we're going to talk about the steps of the sale. Very important part of training, my most important part to train on, very specifically. It's going to be a very dynamic process. It's going to help you navigate your way through. So getting into it right away, guys, before we get started, also, this is the most valuable part of training, the most valuable part of any sales organization. Now, why do I say that? No matter how good you are and how competent you are with sales or communication or any of the background that you've had before, if you work with a sales organization that doesn't have a sales process, you don't know where you're going to end up, right? And if you don't have any direction, anything that's been tried and true, then you're not going to succeed. These are the very steps that will help and has helped and been proven over years to help agents get to 20 to 30, sometimes even 40 deals a month by themselves in the field, face-to-face with merchants. That's also prospecting and taking leads from a call center or however they get their leads. This is the sales process that they use, especially those that are extremely efficient in selling cash discount. And that's what defines us, and that's what defines Go Free Pay. And it's what works. So we're going to go back real quick to go over each step of the sale. We're going to go over it in detail, but I urge you, this is an important part of the sales process and procedure. So please rewind, rewatch, and study these steps of the sale. You should have the steps of the sale also provided to you in that email that you got, so make sure that you have them printed off and they're in front of you for this presentation. So without further ado, going through it, guys, we're going to go through the 6 steps of the sale. The first one is going to be the confident introduction. Now, for those that have been in sales 25, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years, 2 years, this is a very overlooked step of the sale, given a few different psychological concepts. For example, the 7-second bias, stating the agenda. Very common that even experienced sales professionals miss this. It is extremely important. It's very dynamic and proven within psychology and communication that there's 2 vital things with a very good introduction that make a very solid 7-second bias. We'll go through that. The second step is called discovery, or what we call qualifying. This is where we discuss the pros and the cons, and we're going to kind of go through a script of this as well to kind of show you how you funnel down to the next step, which is effective rate. We want to have a discussion around effective rate and kind of really go into detail on how we can utilize this aspect of the of pricing, how much we save a merchant and what direction that they're going to go. Then we move on to step 4, which is the VAP question and the green light. Now, VAP stands for value added proposition. Okay, we're working with the value added proposition, the main reason Go Free Pay exists, the main product that we sell, and it's extremely important. Then we go for a little bit of a temperature gauge, which is the green light, right? Trying to find out where you are in the sale, testing your ability, testing if you have enough rapport, enough grease to the gears, okay? Then moving towards the next part is the manager call or the manager equipment call, and then the final presentation, right? And in that step, it's basically a phone call to use your sales tools to kind of discuss the solution and find out what we can do for that merchant, and then move into the presentation. And then we go to finally step 6, which is assuming the sale, right? Assuming the sale and the closing of the deal. Now, the funny part about this is that a lot of people would think this is the most difficult part of sales, the most difficult thing to do. But as you can see, it's actually one of the easiest steps. If you've mastered each step along the way, then the close, arriving at the close is easy. Once you've developed every concern and you've covered everything, then that's how it works. Now, the steps of the sale are extremely important. There's a few key aspects that I want you to realize with the steps of the sale, is that it is a proven method. Now, we don't want to be robots. We want you to bring in your personal experiences, your personal sales ability, and we want you to follow the process. Jordan Belfort talks about that process. We think of the steps of the sale as basically a hallway, right? A hallway or a straight line. And each level is a step. At the end, there's your merchant or your close, and your merchant is there with a gun, and they're shooting objections at you, and they're trying to get you to fly off the map, right? Their job is to get you out of this process. Your job is to get them to follow you or go with you through this process to arrive at the final close, okay? And that's key. The steps of the sale are dramatically important, okay? That's the first and most important thing. Communication is important. Like we said before, product knowledge is important, but you could have the best product knowledge, you could have the best program, the best situation, but if you don't have a process, there's no way you're going to sell. Okay, so keep that in mind. These are designed specifically to help you close deals on the same day. Okay, this is off an appointment. Whether you've prospected an appointment or whether the call center set you with an appointment, the steps to the sale is your toolkit that you bring in to fix the deal, to sell the deal. Just like a plumber would bring in his toolkit to fix the toilet or to fix whatever, right? You're the same. You're coming in, there's a problem. The problem is they don't have cash discount. I am 100% sold on cash discount. I think every merchant should have cash discount. You can't convince me otherwise. I love this product and we do it ourselves. My transactions are $15,000 a month with our company. And whenever someone wants to put it on a card, they get charged 3.95%. It's just what it is. We got a great product. We got a great service. We believe in it. So there we go. So getting back to it, stressing on the steps of the sale, they need to be followed and respected. Okay. Now, why? Why do we have the 6 steps of the sale? Every sales industry has their form of the steps of the sale. Whether you work in real estate, commercial real estate, car sales, insurance, or processing, these are tried and true, which means they have been there forever and they work. Whether you sell on the same day or the span of a few years, always stick to the steps of the sale so that you don't fall into a sophomore slump. You say, well, Carson, what's a sophomore slump? A lot of sales agents, even with experienced sales or not experienced sales, come into a new industry and they do very well. They sell 4, 5, 6, 7 deals and then they fall off the boat. They stop selling. Well, it's because they come in blindly, they learn the process, they do exactly what they're told, and they sell a bunch. Then they start to become confident. They don't learn anymore. They don't ask questions. They get away from the steps of the sale. They start reinventing new steps that just randomly come out of nowhere, and they wonder why they don't close. Stick with the steps. I catch myself doing it all the time, even though I've been in the field for a long time. Last year, guys, I got stuck in the States, and I went out and I followed these same steps. I ran into the same objections that you're going to learn on the next section, and I personally opened up an office and then also inked 211 deals by myself. So I'm not preaching this to you as someone that has been training or does this. I did this last year, recently, during the pandemic, 211 deals. This is what we need to do. Every time I would see that I would fall into a sophomore slump, I realized that the appointment I went to before, I didn't follow any of these steps. For some reason, I did something random. So I got my head right. I learned that either you're sold or they're sold, or either they're sold or I'm sold. And I just got sold. I did the wrong process. So stick with the steps of the sale, guys. Get out of the sophomore slump. This is what's going to help. So moving on to the first step. Again, highly overlooked for most sales professionals, an extremely important step. Confidence is key to driving the sale forward. When you introduce yourself with assertion and energy enthusiasm, you establish a positive 7-second bias, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that will secure your customers' trust as an expert in processing. You can also take another stab at this and say, look, I'm pretty new to this, but I'm extremely confident and I love the product. So if I mess up a little bit, Mr. Merchant, forgive me, but I'll make sure that we cover everything professionally and in detail. Remember that you're not only selling processing, guys, you're there to help solve a problem. You're there to solve a problem where they're paying 95%, you're going to save them 95% of their processing. That equates to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. Now, the key to this too, guys, is that you need to state the agenda. Okay, and I'll go through this with you. I'll go through this with you in my pitch in the opening statement. Whether I set the appointment myself or whatever, that the key aspects of the competent introduction, guys, number one, the most important part is somewhat the space that you decide to communicate with. Like I can talk if I want. It's up to me. It's my choice. But I don't talk when I want to talk. I don't have to talk. I can control that. I can't control the environment sometimes, and I can't control the other person, but I can give myself the best possible chance for success. So when you start your sales pitch, you start your competent introduction, you need to make sure you're in a good space. Okay, if the merchant's talking, okay, if they're in front of customers, you don't just go sell them, right? You say, hey, if you need to go outside, you need to take a piss, or go to the bathroom, pardon my language, but you need to go somewhere to get your head right before you start, go somewhere else. If I see a merchant's busy, I make sure that I'm a parent, they're mopping floors, I might help them. Say, oh, okay, yep, I'm a little bit late, or I'm a little bit early. Yeah, finish that. I'm just going to right over there. So just leave. Let your merchant come to you. Okay, again, I always say this. You can have the world's best sales pitch, but if you're pitching to a goat, I'm pretty sure a goat's not going to buy processing. If you're pitching to a fence post, I mean, it's a fence post. I mean, what do you want? So at the end of the day, if I have the best singing voice and I'm singing in the shower and I don't have an audience, no one's going to know. So make sure you put yourself in a good spot with your merchant, okay, before you deliver that sales pitch and you have really good communication, okay? And the second thing is that I see this a lot with experienced sales professionals too, is they fail to state the agenda. And it's the same with meetings. If you've ever been to a board meeting that went on for 2 hours, no one got anything done, that's because the person that decided to start and lead the board meeting had no agenda. There's no agenda, right? You got to state the agenda so the merchant knows exactly where you're going, what they can expect. So you kill a lot of objections and concerns by just letting them know how and where to go. The key part about that too is like a good example is a teacher. Have you ever had a bad teacher that comes in and looks at the class and they just start teaching? Shit's on the board, no one learns anything. Things right there you go, right? Well, at the end of the day, students don't know what to do. A good teacher comes in and says, hello, warm introduction. Today we're going to be doing this, 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 and this. We cover this. Here's a syllabus for the day, or here's a syllabus for the quarter. Homework's on the board. Turn to chapter 4, start teaching. Okay, there's a good introduction. Students are all prepared. They know what to do. Your potential customer needs to know what you're doing there, right? So in our agenda, okay, we state the agenda in the confident introduction. I say, hey, good morning. How you doing, John? Good. Well, yeah, again, like I said yesterday, first off, before we get started, my name's Carson Cook. I love this business. I've been here before. Kind of like I said yesterday, I always get pizza here. It's really good. But at the end of the day, I work with a company called GoFreePay. And just like I discussed yesterday, the program's true. It's free volume, unlimited swipes. We charge $100 a month. It's a great deal. And again, I'll get into that later and kind of tell you about it. But what my job is I come in here, I get to know you, I get to know this business. We find out a little bit more about you. We discuss numbers. We talk about the savings that we can provide you and offer you a good solution with equipment. Then we set you up with it. And if you like it and we like it, then we ask for your business and we get you going. So how does that sound? So now I've stated the objection, told them who I am, who my company is, what we're going to do today, and then the narrative hook, which is like a green light, right? I enforce that and I make it quick so that in the mind, they know, hey, yeah, he's going to ask for my business, right? At this point, you might get, guys, in the confident introduction when you say that, well, I don't make decisions on the same day. Well, now I have a wall I got to break down. You say, that's no problem. You don't have to do that, man. I mean, you made a decision. I still have to ask for your business. But, again, let me present stuff to you so at least you know and you're making a confident decision. And they'll say, okay, that sounds fair. Okay, move forward. Okay, so going back to it, guys, the next step is going to be, the pitch is what we just went over. So the next step is the discovery. So now we're going to move into an area, guys, of qualifying and discovery. The whole goal of this is like a funnel, which I'll show you here in a minute, of asking open-ended questions that require responses and communication from your merchant. And the best one that you can do, even the most hard-headed merchants that you will meet that don't want to have you, don't like sales professionals, okay, the one thing that you do have in common is you're in their business right now. I mean, you're basically in their business and this is their business and you're in their business, right? So at least we can discuss that. They've also agreed to meet with you to discuss that, your business, this business. So with that commonality in tune, you need to use that to expand upon getting other commonalities to discuss, something that's the same between you and them. That is the point where you build up rapport. Okay, so being that that's the only thing that we have in common, I love to ask them, guys, in the qualifying stage, I open with, okay, that sounds great, John. So to start off with, man, tell me about your business. You're going to get them to say, they're going to go, oh, this is what I process with. This what do you have? What are your rates? I said, no, I totally understand. But no, tell me, why did you start this business? I mean, it's a really difficult thing to be an entrepreneur in the United States, especially with COVID, especially with pandemic. I mean, what was your American dream? You know that, most businesses fail. Actually, only 1% of businesses succeed after their first year. So tell me about your American dream. Why did you start this? Do you like it? What did it take? What are the hard times? What are the good times? What is that on the wall over there, right? So this is now where you trickle in, guys, the rapport. This is your opportunity now to enjoy this job, to be yourself, to kick back. This process, just like we saw in the slide, could take 10 minutes, could take an hour. At this point, this is where your merchant should know your name. This is where you should know his name or her name, right? You should get into a discussion. Because the idea with this is that you have a funnel of broad, open-ended questions at the top, and then you start focusing in on very specific answers to get to the heart of the root, which is you're trying to find the pros and the cons of the current company and filter down to what they pay. Now, if you do a good job with rapport building, the merchant's going to give you a statement. They'll tell you what they pay. You don't need a statement to close this deal and cash discount. They're going to just let you know what they pay, and that's your full goal. Your full goal with qualifying, okay, or in this discovery step, is to find out more about the merchant so that you can use the deal to close. You can close the deal later. So you want to pull out like a piece of paper, right, to discuss the pros and the cons. You're going to write down the pros and the cons of their current company, but that's not yet. That's down here. Tell me about your business. Start getting into a conversation. Okay, take your time, break down the walls. John, Carson, get to know them. Okay, use their first name, and then you kind of arrive at, well, who do you process with? Well, I process with Heartland. Okay, great. Well, Heartland, that's awesome, man. So what do you like about them and what do you not like about them? Well, I like this and I don't like this. We want to know the pros and the cons because those are the things that you're going to use to close the deal later. And the ultimate con, even if they love their current company, is going to be that they're paying $1,200 a month for $60,000 as opposed to ours, which is free, right? Or a price for the equipment, and we'll get into that later. But at the end of the day, even if they love their current company and their mom sold them this deal, I'm pretty sure if their mom called and said, hey, now you don't have to pay $1,200, we have to pay $200. The merchant's going to be very excited. So yes, a con, even though they love it, the con would be they have to pay the money, and no one likes to pay the money. It's a bill, right? Everybody would get it for free if they'd want it. So this step, guys, we need to use the general questions. So tell me about your business. How long have you been in business? What went into owning your business? Do you like it? Are you the only owner? Do you know what you're processing with? Who you're processing with? Do you like them? What are the pros and the cons? Because once you write that down, that opens you up to getting to the next step, which is the effective rate. But before we start, let me ask you a few questions. So you grab a piece of paper after you've said, tell me about your business. You say, tell me what you like or dislike about your current processing company. What do you like? What do you like and not like about the industry, right? So, well, I don't like this, I don't like that. So now they're telling you what you need to use to close the deal later and what you shouldn't do if you want to close the deal, right? Prepare to land them on effective rate. Everybody talks about price. Now, what is effective rate? We want to land them on effective rate. And the beautiful part about this, guys, is that now that we know, just like we talked about, that interchange has to be paid by everybody, Amazon, Walmart, that means that there's a national average. You can tell this merchant, this industry is super competitive. You got a lot of people calling you. You've had guys like me come in all the time. I get it. There's no more better deal anymore, right? So you're paying between 2 to 3%. I don't care if it's the world's best deal or the greatest deal, John. I mean, you're right at around 2 to 3%. So at 2 to 3%, even with the best deal at 2%, if you're processing $60,000, that's $1,200 in fees. That's $1,200 in fees. That's over $12,000 a year. That's $14,000 a year is what you're paying for processing, right? Again, they might give you a statement. You might have enough rapport built at this point, but you can land them on effective rate because for every $10,000, a merchant is going to be paid between $200 and $300, right? So if they do $30,000, then it's $600 to $900. The math is very simple. You don't need a statement from them to understand what they pay. You can tell them what they pay because your goal is to land them on effective rate. A lot of the times the merchant will give it to you. They'll say, yeah, I pay 2.3%. Okay, great. Well, what's your volume? Do 30,000? Pull out your phone. Boom. So now I know your bill's $750 a month, right? So you pay $750 a month, right? So again, we don't really do an analysis to GoFree Pay, Mr. Merchant. We don't need to know that because if you go with our program and I see that you have one Clover over there, right, or one station, I know that I can get you that station for $100 a month. So, $750 minus 100, I save you $650 a month. Or, hey, I know you pay $1,200 a month, 2% for your 60 grand. I know $1,100 in savings per month is a lot better than, paying 14 grand a year, right? So great. So I know that's what we can save you. So getting back to the script, guys, right here, let's do it. I fully understand that you put a lot of time and energy and effort into your business. So let me ask you this. How much does your processing company own of your business? The national average is 2 to 3%. Okay, that's fine if you prefer not to tell me. That's completely fine. We can figure that out. But, at the end of the day, there's no more better deals in the industry. Even if you have a Walmart deal, you still have to pay interchange. With a good deal at even 2%, you're processing 60 grand. Your bill's $1,200 a month. So if you look at it, we don't need a statement to do a savings analysis or whatever. It's very simple. We charge $99 a month per station, $100 a month per station. That's $1,200 per year That's the same as what you pay per month. So if you look at it, you can either pay $14,400 per year for processing, or you can save $1,100 a month. That's over $13,000 a year, and I'm saving you, right? So that kind of brings us to the point where now that you've established what they pay, either forcefully or very nicely, most merchants, guys, are like, yeah, I pay $14 a month. So what can you do about that? And, so you're right around 60, 70,000 a month, or sorry, in processing volume. And they say, yeah. They say, okay, great. Well, now that we know exactly what you pay, now, guys, we move on to step 4, okay, which is essentially how you sell cash discount. It's the value-added proposition question and the green light. Okay, this is to be done in a very, very specific manner, in a very specific way. So at this point, we've officially confirmed what they pay for in processing. Now it's time to discover our angle for attacking the value-added proposition of the VAP, or the value-added proposition. Discussing the savings in the price has to bring about value, right? We have to give value to this price. Saving $11,000 is a big deal, but it's even a bigger deal if you can discuss what that actually means to the merchant. Again, I would do something different with $1,100 a month. You would do something different than $1,100 a month. We need to find out, first off, what this merchant would do with $1,100 a month, and give some suggestions. Like if I was a pizza shop owner, I know I'd take half that and put it into marketing. I'd expect a 200 to 300% return on my marketing and get more customers. And then I'd pocket the other 500 and I'd go get a brand new car, because $500 a month is a nice sports car. That's what I'd probably do, or I'd buy a watch, right? That's what I'd do with an extra $1,100 a month. The goal then is to not only place what they would do with it, they could send their kid to school. They could go on a vacation with their wife and their kids. Cruises are going to open up soon, hopefully, or if they're not open already by the time you're watching this. But at the end of the day, you can find some nice cruises for $1,000. Save your processing bill for 2 months and go on a nice cruise. At the end of the day, it's a very valuable thing. Once you point out what they would do with that money, we need to find out how they would feel, okay? Because if we can point out that value of what they would do with that money, they would put it back in their business, how they would feel, we go right for a small trial close. We say, well, let me ask you this, John. If I could do that, if I could help send your kid to school, or if I could help you build your business by putting that back into marketing, getting you a 200 to 300% or a 10x return on your investment. So if you put in $1,000, you want 10 grand in profit. At the end of the day, how would you feel about that? I mean, would that make you feel excited? Would it take some stress off running this business? And they're going to say, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd feel great. I mean, if I could do that and never have to worry about processing again and get the same system or a better system, I mean, yeah, that for sure. That's amazing. And say, well, let me ask you this. If I can do all that for you and help you feel that way and put $14,000 or $13,000 back in your pocket every month, would you work with me? And it's an honest question. And they say, yeah, man, I mean, I still don't know how you do it, but yeah, sure, I definitely would. Great. Now we move into, guys, a situation where if you look at the script, same thing. Okay, if you look, kind of refer to your script, we move into the next part, which is now the manager equipment call and the presentation. Okay, we'll talk about that in a sec. But now that we've established that they're good with the pricing, we now need to establish the equipment solution. So for your first 30 or 40 deals, you want to call your national accounts director and use every sales tool at your disposal, okay, to try and close this deal. So we're going to see what they have so that we can give them something that's very similar or the same or something better, right? So I would say in the script, the same exact thing with this is that, we're going to be calling into our manager. At this point, the manager is going to find out also where you are in the sale. Okay, so if you look at the slide here, it says the manager call is in place to make sure we don't miss any opportunities when you first start. As you get deals under your belt, you'll start doing this entire presentation without the manager call once you are very familiar with the equipment. After contacting your manager, they will assist you in feeling the direction of the sale. They'll also help you qualify the merchant for what type of equipment solutions that they might need. Clover POSs, Clover Minis, a normal machine. Once the equipment solution and the pricing is confirmed, we move into the program presentation. This is only after we have pointed out the value-added proposition and the benefits, like we talked about before, and the amazing capability of the brand new system. We present GoFreePay cash discounting program, how it works. When we discuss the elephant in the room, which is I don't want to charge my customers. We attack the customer's concerns, and then we move on to the next step, which is the close. So before I kind of get into it, I want to go through this script with you. So Once we've discussed that, and I've said, John, well, how would you feel? And he goes, great. Well, awesome. So at the end of the day, would you work with me? And they said, yeah, sure. Great. So I call Carson and say, hey, Carson, how you doing? We're good to go on the green light. John's very interested in the program. It looks like he does $60,000 a month. And, we're going to be saving him if we can do this, probably $1,100. We got to get him one station. It's $100 a month. He does like the Clover, but he wants a Clover Mini because the Clovers are a little bit more expensive. I know they're like $125 a month or $150 a month, but he wants a Clover Mini. And I'll say, okay, great. So what does he have now? Well, currently right now he has an older POS station. It's really small. It's a tablet with a cash drawer, or he has a Square station. He has a Square station. We said, oh, well, great. Well, we could either do an E700 for $99 a month, or we could do a Clover Mini for $99 a month. What do you think he'd like? Well, at the end of the day, he likes this and this. And they said, okay, great. Well, let's go with the Clover. Okay, phenomenal. Great. So now that we've established that, he should be good to go. Have you presented the deal yet? He goes, nope, I'm about ready to explain cash discount to him and how it works. Great. Gonna hang the phone up. Now it's up to you. How we present this is we can say, great, John. So we know now that we can get you the deal for $99 a month, for 48 months. Like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but again, it doesn't really matter how long it is. At the end of the day, it's $1,200 a year or $14,000 a year that you're going to pay. So I think we have a good solution for you. Now let me tell you how the program works. Now you would say, John, that $1,200, a month in fees, that means a lot to you, right? And they're going to say, yeah. And you're going to say, okay, great. Well, John, here's how the program works. We actually take that $1,100 to where it means a lot to you. We actually chop it up into small, tiny pieces, and we actually put it onto your customer's bill. So, it's not a big deal to them. Now, I completely understand what you're thinking right now, but essentially nothing really changes in your business. The prices here don't change. The price on the menu, everything stays exactly the same. All you're doing is this now is the discounted price. This is the cash discounted price. So the customer's seeing the discounted price. If they pay cash, they get that price. If they pay with a card, it adds an additional 4%, which is actually not really a big deal. It's not a big deal whatsoever. So at the end of the day, I still understand what you're feeling is that you might think that you would lose business. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that's not true. GoFreePay has been selling this for a very, very long time. And every customer that we've ever had the very same concern that you have right now. They stood in your very shoes. The only difference is now they have the program. They love it. They've trained their customers and they're saving 12 grand a month. 12 grand a year, 12, 14 grand a year. It's an amazing savings. And like you said, that's the cruise that you're going on. We're going to help put your kid through school with that savings. And at the end of the day, I can guarantee you that you don't lose any business whatsoever. So at the end of the day, let's go forward. Let's do this. At this point, guys, you're going to be hit with a few other objections, which we're going to cover in the next section of the video. You're going to be able to destroy those objections. You're going to be able to destroy those concerns. Again, round to the close. Destroy the concern, round to the close. Destroy the concern, round to the close. You're going to learn all about how to handle objections and all the top major objections we've seen in the field for the last 10 years on cash discounting. You're going to see those in the next section. Just remember, at this point in the steps of the sale, this is when you display cash discounting. This is only when you display cash discounting, guys. You don't display it any time earlier. It's very key. So read this script, exact same thing, and then we move on to step 6. Step 6 is now assuming the close. You have a closing journal, okay, that has all the different kinds of closes, not only for traditional, but for cash discounting in your Google Drive, which we'll go over in another video. But at the end of the day, there's so many different closes that was put together by Craig that you'll hear also and you'll see in this video. But again, at the end of the day, the best close that we've ever seen in cash discounting is assuming the sale. So we meet the objection, and John might be like, oh, you know what? Like I said, I just still need to kind of think about it, but we almost did it. Carson, I like you, you're great, but I still kind of am a little bit nervous. So listen, there's nothing to be nervous about, man. The only decision that you really have to make, like we said, is if you want to go on that cruise with your wife, if you want to feel that way, because I know that you won't lose business. Again, let's just give it a shot. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not a big deal. You have a very simple decision to make. With a stroke of a pen, you're going to be putting $1,000 back in your pocket. That's 12 grand a year. And you don't have to do that. I could just come in here and I'll give you a fishbowl. It'll be the Carson fishbowl. You can just give me that. You're literally taking money, you're putting it here and you're putting gas on it and you're going, every month you're doing that. But if you want to write me a check, I'll just say, oh, thanks, John. Thanks for the $1,000. I'll see you next month. Right? Now, I should be your best friend. There's not even your best friend's going to walk in and write you a check for $12,000 every single year. You know what I'm saying? So again, you're just making a very simple decision. How much money do you want coming out of your bank account? Do you want $100 coming out of your bank account, or do you want $1,200? With a stroke of a pen, it's a very simple decision. Worst case scenario, like I said, if it's the worst case scenario, which I can guarantee you it's not going to happen, but next 2 or 3 months, if it doesn't work out, which again, it's all about training your customer, I'll work with that. We'll program you back to traditional processing. You're still going to save money than what you had before. Now, again, I don't know what that is. We'd have to get a statement, get you qualified, do a song and a dance, but I wouldn't even worry about that. Again, at the end of the day, the decision you have to make right now, John, is $1,200 a month or $100 a month. After fees and taxes, maybe $110, something like that. So let's do it. Do you have your voided check? Do you have your business license? Do you have a driver's license? Okay. Now you're going to be asking for documents to get the deal closed later. So if we look at this, guys, these are the documents that you're going to need, and you're going to write the deal up. Okay. The perfect paperwork, which we'll discuss in a section later. We'll show you how to fill out the proper paperwork. And the documents that you need to collect are a driver's license, a business license or tax certificate. Now, that could be anything though, guys. That's just proof of address. So you can get a phone bill, a utility bill, but the essential documents that you have to get are a U.S. driver's license or a voided check. It's got to be U.S. driver's license or a U.S. ID and a voided check, right? Once you get those documents, you fill out the paperwork, okay? Guys, you send the merchant off. You say, okay, great, I got it all here. I need your social security number for the signer of the business and also the federal tax ID for the business. Write that in. Great, I got all that. I got all the documents. You start filling stuff out. Put the perfect paperwork on the left. Look at it. It'll help you fill out the paperwork and where to sign. Send the merchant away and then bring them back. When it's all filled out, you say, okay, great, here's a pen. Go ahead and sign here, flip the page. Don't look at the merchant, look at the paperwork. Go ahead and sign here, flip the page, sign here, flip the page. Once you're done with that, guys, you have closed the deal. You're finished. Then you actually say, I'd love to see if I could ask you some referrals. You have 2 opportunities, guys, to ask for referrals. The first one is going to be after you've closed that deal. The second time is when you install the equipment. So I work after I close the deal. I say, welcome to Go Free Pay. I'm excited to work with you, John. I know that you're going to love this product. And like I said, I'm writing you a check every month for $1,000, man. Congratulations. Now, here's the thing. The equipment's going to arrive in about 3 to 5 business days if it's a regular little terminal or a PAX unit. But if it's a Clover or a bigger POS station, it could take 2 to 3, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I always want to make sure that you understand that it's going to come. Now, I can rush it if you need to. But at the end of the day, that's how long they take. As soon as it gets here, I want you to call me. I'll come in and install it, or I'll come in and work with it. If it's a bigger one, then obviously the office will hire someone to install it. But for the most part, I install these things. They're like plugging in a complicated microwave. They're not that big of a deal. We can also do your menu. We take the menu out of your old system and put it in the new system, or we can get pictures of the menu and we put it in for you. And then we get here and we set it up, and then they put the menu in. So other than that, we'll set it up off to the side. You can work with your current company. Don't call them. Leave them alone. We'll take care of the cancellation fee, all that kind of stuff later. We want to make sure that our machine is installed and ready to go before you even call them. So you don't want them turning you off, and then there you go. Okay, so those are the documents that you need to collect. Now, I want to go through this, guys. The only thing standing between you and your goals is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. Now, the reason we put this out here, guys, is because these steps are tried and true. You now have received probably the best cash discounting training that you're ever going to receive out there in the market, and a very proven way of closing deals. Rewind the video, go through it again, and again, and study. Because at the end of the day, if you haven't studied and you haven't studied the next section, which is the second most important part of training or anything in sales, number 1 is the process, and number 2 are the concerns. Number 3 is product knowledge. Product knowledge is great. We will give you some product knowledge. You'll learn that in the field as well. But it's not essential in closing processing deals. Okay, it's not essential for you to be a mechanic to learn how to close a car or to sell a vehicle, right? You need to know the lineup, you need to know sales, and you need to know the concerns and objections of your client, okay? So at the end of the day, that is key, that either you're sold or they're sold. That's a big thing in processing, because you're gonna work your butt off to try and save someone money. And this is a product that I truly, firmly believe that every merchant should have and that should be pushed, okay? So if you're not necessarily always need to push. You need to be smart, tactical, and kind of reliant on a forward-moving process. But you should be able to turn up the heat a little bit and press, and that's okay. I'm okay with pressing a product onto someone that, first off, 90% of the business owners don't know the product in the first place. They don't care. They just care about their bill. And secondly, if I give this to them, I end up helping them. I end up saving them tons of money. Okay, I can go home and sleep at night. When I can't go home and sleep at night is when I don't close these deals. I don't hurt those don't help those merchants. Sometimes I get into the debate where I'm like, John, we're going to do this now, and I sign them up. You do realize that as soon as I walk out that door, you're exactly where you are. I mean, you're happy, you're fine. I have nothing to do with these people coming in next month. Next month, the same people are going to come in and buy the same stuff they bought last month, and your bill is going to be $1,200. I have nothing to do with that. The thing I'm trying to do is put that money back in your pocket. So as soon as I leave, there's nothing you need to think about. You don't need to think about saving $12,000, $14,000 a year. It's a very simple decision. How much do you want coming out of your bank account? Again, let's do this. Sign them up. Okay, so when I pressure them into the situation and I get them to sign, I know I walk out with a good commission. I've saved my merchant $1,000 a month, especially during COVID. I'm helping them out, and I truly and firmly believe that, and you need to too. That's the killer part about this, guys, is that enthusiasm and excitement, logic, and process closes cash discounting deals easily. So it's very valuable that you point out not just savings. Savings mean nothing. What do the savings mean to them? What is it and how would they feel? Very important part, guys, of this process. So getting to it, like I said, don't sell yourself short. Study, study, study. Practice, practice, practice. Role play, role play, role play. Get in front of merchants. Sell these deals. This is exactly what we need to do, guys, before we end this out and take a little bit of a break. But the steps of the sale, the to-do list. Watch this section. Print off the 6 steps of the sale. Write them down. Write this script down. The same script that you saw on this PowerPoint presentation and you have in front of you is the exact same one that are in the steps of the sale and the one that I just pitched you. Role play in front of a mirror, memorize the scripts, find a friend, practice with a friend, and practice, practice, practice. Guys, that's some of the best training that you're ever going to get is to say, I want you to be a merchant. Here's the steps of the sale, my friend, and say, here's the steps of the sale. No, here's the objections or concerns. So I'm going to get this in the field, read this, and I'm going to come at you and sell you. I want you to hit me hard. And I want you to get used to responding. Boom, boom, boom. In the objection section, which is next, you're going to get every single objection or concern that you're ever going to hear about from the last 10 years on cash discounting. And you're going to roll through it because they need to come off the tip of your tongue like this. And your steps of the sale and your process and pitch need to come off like this. It needs to come off like this so much that it's not you reading from a book, it's you saying it. And that's exactly what I do. Good morning. Hey, how you doing, John? Yeah, man, it's Carson Cook. I work, I work with a company called Go Free Pay, and we do corporate processing, and I love this business here. Like I told everybody, I come here and get a pizza once a week, and I've never thought to come up and talk to you, but essentially, what my job is I come in, I get to know you, and we get to know your business. Then I ask you a few questions, and if we can get you qualified for it, then at the end of the day, I present it to you, and if you like it and I like it, John, and we get you the right system, and pricing's fair, and it's right then and there, and we're saving you that 90%. I ask for your business, and I get you set up. So, how does that sound? So that's natural, guys. That's Carson Cook talking. That's not a salesman. I don't have a mask on. Super important to understand that you need to practice this so well that it's Carson talking. That's all it is, okay? So look at that, guys. Rock and roll. We are going to take a little short break here. Then we'll move on to the next section of training, guys, which is the objections. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, welcome back from your break. I hope you had a good opportunity, guys, to take a lot of different notes during that section and really get into the steps of the sale on how to sell cash discount. Not only that, but really study and review. Everything that we just said before, practice is essential and it's very key. That is the single most important thing, guys, within any sales organization is their process. So it's very vital and super important that you took notes during that section and you obviously role play in hot session and go back and forth to study and memorize the steps of the sale so that you're able to navigate your way through the process, but understand the headspace of why the merchants actually make these decisions when you're interacting with them face to face and you're actually selling processing, but you're also selling cash discount. So now that we've gone through that process and we've actually arrived at that manager call to discuss equipment and then that presentation part of the steps of the sale, which is step number 5, with that presentation, what's going to happen is that you're going to receive all sorts of different objections and concerns when you're actually dealing with cash discount. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to go through each one of those different concerns or complaints that we've heard in the field and every single one of them and how to approach each one. Now, what we want you to do with this too, guys, is we're going to discuss with the first section of this on how, first off, to handle objections and the 3 different methods that we actually use on how to handle objections and concerns from clients face-to-face in the field. The three methods that we use are extremely valuable. They've been known in sales to work forever, but we're going to discuss how they actually work within cash discounting, number one, but also in processing. Okay, so we'll discuss the three methods. Then we're going to go into the 15 most commonly heard objections around cash discount and then how to actually approach them. Now, you have a guide that is called our Cash Discounting Objections Guide that you can actually print off. That is something that you also need to memorize along with the steps of the sale to make sure that you're proficient and you have responses. You want to make sure that you have at least 2 or 3 responses to each concern, because when you have one response or one concern from a merchant, you find one way of looking at it, which is your response to the concern, and then another way of looking at it for that same concern. That way you defeat the one response with 2, okay? That way your argument is more powerful. Then you move on to the assumptive close, which is step 6. But at this point, we need to learn first off, how do we communicate our objections? We could have the world's best answers, we could have the world's best responses, but if your merchant's not willing to listen and you're pitching to a fence post or a goat, probably doesn't matter. You have to have an audience. I could be the world's best singer, but if I'm in the shower, no one's going to hear me, okay? So we need to be able to properly relay our communication, properly relay the objections to our merchant so that they understand and pick it up. So there needs to be multiple ways of looking at a single item, right? Multiple ways of looking at it and from a different perspective, okay? Giving examples is a huge one, and it's very key. So we're going to go here now to, first off, guys, to discuss objections. Overcoming objections or client concerns, as we call them, okay, is with the perspective and with prospective merchants can be overwhelming and sometimes can be pretty frustrating. I mean, you can be beating a dead horse is kind of what they call it, right? But it's important to understand that there's a few ways that you can properly communicate a little bit better and a few ways that you can learn how to overcome these objections and move your way through the steps of the sale. And I like to look at the steps of the sale as a process. So you're like going down a hallway, okay? And at the end, there's the merchant with the close. They're going to be shooting bullets at you, right? And you're supposed to dodge those bullets and eventually make it to the next step, right? And if you dodge those bullets, okay, we're going to give you the tools on how to become faster, like the Matrix, right? How to bend and swing and deflect and ignore and overcome and meet those customer concerns with the proper and educated response and a very logical one. This is very much an emotional buy, an emotional sale mixed in with a lot of logical issues, okay? So it's key to put that together. But in order to effectively give the objection responses that we're going to teach you today and the ones that you're going to have in your guide, you need to make sure that you understand how to deal with concerns in the first place in sales, okay? It's very important to memorize, study, and deal with every objection that is being thrown in front of you so that you have, that you know actually what to do. You need to be a chameleon. You need to learn one of the two methods in dealing with objections. You'll always be able to deflect, diffuse, or overcome the objections successfully. So here are the top 3 true methods of overcoming objections. Mastering all 3 of these will make you a superstar as a national accounts executive, guys, with us. It's going to be huge. So the first one is to deflect. We call this the deflect. This is where you're deflecting objections that don't really matter. They're not really a big concern to you, and it's not something that you need to trail off on. Number 2 is going to be diffuse. Okay, this is where we're going to actually diffuse the objection. Okay, we're going to kind of bring it down. So explain an alternate way of thinking around this objection with your merchant. And there's a very specific way to do this. And then number 3 is going to be to overcome, to figure out a way to offer a solution to a concern or a problem. We're going to go into each one of those. Okay, so the first one, number 1 is to deflect the objection. So how do we deflect the objection? You know, at first glance, this sounds very easy, but it does take a little bit of practice. This is the method that requires you to do a little more than just turning off your ears. You can't just ignore it. The best way to ignore an objection is to actually stop and identify it, then tell the merchant that you're going to ignore it. Now, I know this sounds super funny, but 9 times out of 10, if it's not really a big concern for the merchant or it's not really a big concern for them, then they'll just completely forget about it. And if it's not a big concern in relation to your closing and your commission and you making money, then you should also forget about it. So it's not a huge deal. So a good example of this is, I would say, John, you know what, that's a great question. And, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure right now, but let's get back to that later so that we don't get sidetracked. But let's discuss your business. Let's discuss this right now. Okay, or let me answer that in a few minutes. I promise we won't forget. We'll talk about it later. 9 times out of 10, guys, with this interaction or this situation, the deflect, they're going to forget about it. So say cancellation fee. So, hey, well, I can't do this right now. I have a cancellation fee. Oh, you know what? We usually pay for those. It's not really a big deal. I mean, we can cover that later. But before we get into that, tell me more about your current processor. So obviously right now I'm in step 3. I'm qualifying. I just got a concern. It went in one ear and it went out the other. So I recognized that there was an issue. I said, oh, I completely understand that you have a cancellation fee, but it's not really a big deal. Let's not discuss that now. I mean, I can cover that later, but sometimes we pay for it. So it goes out here, right out here, right? There's your proper response. Okay, but 9 times out of 10, guys, your merchant is just going to completely forget about it. Number 2 is a huge one. This one is called the feel, felt, found method. This is an extremely useful, a very common tactic. This is what you use preliminary before you deliver your response, and it's called the diffuse. So this is something that's key, guys, that you need to use this method all the time and then give your response. Okay, like I said before, you could just give your response, but if they're not listening and they haven't been diffused, they haven't used the feel, felt, and found, they're only picking up maybe 20% of what you just said. They're not listening. Okay, why are they not listening? Because they don't understand that you've been in a similar situation or that you're in their shoes, you've made the same decision before, but what you found was this. So now you're not competing against the objection. You're putting your arm around the merchant and saying, yeah, I did this too, but what I did was this. Let's do this, right? So here's my response, okay? But in order for you to properly deliver that response, you need to use the feel, felt, found method. I completely understand how you feel. That means that we're together on this. We made the decision. I know. I totally understand. But, you know, what I felt when I was in that situation is this, and then this is what I found. This is what I did about it. And then you offer the response to the objection. Boom. There you go. Pretty self-explanatory, guys. Feel, felt, and found. This is arguably one of the most effective methods for overcoming objections. It is incredibly simple, and it applies to almost any situation, not just sales situations. The key is to say them in the right order so that it builds empathy with the person that you're speaking with. It creates a common ground between you and your client, creating an everyday solution to the objection, okay, or the concern, right? So I understand how you feel. I felt the same way, but what I found is this. So I know that you're feeling that right now. I felt the same way, but what I found is this. Okay, super important example, okay? So, like I said, cash discounting, just an example of feel, felt, and found. Oh, you know what? Well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to lose business. And I say, you know, John, to be honest with you, I completely understand how you feel. You know, I totally know that. And I was in the same circumstance before too. When I first came in this industry and I started working with clients, I thought the same way. And I thought that, you know, the business that I go to, that I really like their pizza, I actually swiped a card and I got a fee on my receipt and I looked at it and I felt the same way. But what I found was that I was fine with that because they were saving a ton of money and there was a pizza place that I absolutely loved, but I always went back. So what I found is that he didn't lose me as a customer. He didn't lose any business at all. Not only that, but, you know, I completely understand how you would feel as well. So found that, but, you know, I was in the same circumstance, but when I was in the same circumstance with all the other clients that have my program, what I found is that they actually didn't lose any business at all. And they gave me a lot of referrals. So feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found. Okay. Keep that in mind, guys. Super valuable tool. And then the other one, okay, number 3 is identify, isolate, and overcome. Now, this tactic is super important when you have multiple objections, okay? Do you ever feel like you overcome one objection like a pro, only to have 3 or 4 ridiculous ones pop up, okay? This is the perfect method in the situation to deal with that, where your customer is almost making up an objection just to keep you from making the decision, right? I always talk to my partner, And we'll go over a few of those here in a little bit too, guys. The goal is to get the customer to identify all of their objections before you actually overcome them together, right? And the best way that I explain this is like, if you were in a room with your merchant and you had a ton of objections, let's say they're physical, they're like pillows, right? So now the merchant just has randomly 3 pillows. So they have 3 objections. You're going to pick up one of those pillows and you're going to put it in the corner of the room and you're going to say, hey, let's look at this pillow. Let's discuss this pillow. There's a few other pillows over here, but let's look at this one. We're going to identify it. We're going to isolate it. We're going to move it away from the other objections. And we're going to say, well, tell me what you don't like about this pillow. Okay, great. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Now, if I could get rid of this for you, is there anything else that you have that's an issue, right? So if we get rid of that pillow, well, I have this pillow. Okay, great. Well, let's take this one too. So we're going to discuss this pillow. Okay, so are there anything else? So you have a cancellation fee, right? Here's this cancellation fee pillow. Okay, so there's a cancellation fee. So let me ask you this: if I could pay for this cancellation fee, is there anything else that we have an issue with? Nope. Okay, so that pillow is gone. Well, I have this issue, and it's equipment. So I need a POS station, and I'm not going to do this unless I get a better deal. So it's pricing. It's a pricing issue, right? So yeah, the lady told me $99 a month, but I want a point of sale station for that. I say, okay, great. Well, we have a smaller one. It's called the E700. So here's the POS. Here's a pillow. So if I can get you a POS station, right, which is an E700. We do Clovers, we do PAX units, but the E700, and I could do it for you for $99 a month. Is there anything else? Well, there's no more pillows in the room. Okay, great. Well, let's move forward. We good pricing. We're good to go. Okay, great. Go ahead and grab your voided check, your business license, driver's license. There's a couple examples with this, guys, but the key method or the key idea is that what you want to do is you want to follow these steps. You want to identify the real objection. Okay, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but with cash discounting, guys, the real objection is I don't want to charge my customers because I'm afraid I'm going to lose business. Okay, it's not I want to think about it. I got to speak with my partner. We really do like this, but I kind of got to think about it. I got to look your company up. Guys, all these objections in selling cash discount are complete garbage. The only one that truly matters are the cash discounting objections of I am afraid that if I charge my customers, I will lose business. So you need to put this objection to bed. You need to kill it and hit it with a hammer, hit it with a shovel. But doing that, you need to identify that real objection. So you could even ask your merchant, say, look, I totally understand you want to think about it, but is it because you're afraid that you're going to lose business if you charge your customer? And they're going to say, well, yeah, that's what I got to think about that. I said, well, you don't necessarily need to think about it that much. We'll go into it a little bit more, right? And I completely understand where you feel, but what I found was this, and what my solution is this. See, feel, felt, and found. So now we're going to go into it where we're going to identify it. We're going to isolate it. So then I would say, so so identify, isolate, and overcome. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to isolate it. So John, to be honest with you, if you want to think about it, identifying it is you don't want to really charge your customers. Is that it? Is everything else okay? Do you like me? Do you like the company? You're okay with the pricing? You like the POS that we discussed? You like the Clover, right? And they say, yeah, okay. Well, so I told you, so there's nothing else. Okay, great. So if I can show you that you won't lose any business at all, is there anything else stopping you from working with us? And they say, no, if you can show me that, you can save me that money and we're there, then yeah, we'll do it. Okay, let me show you how this doesn't lose you business. Okay, you pull up the website, you show them the video. Okay, you go through the success stories, you show them a couple testimonials on YouTube and say, great, see, just like I said. So you have your voided check. Great, move into the assumptive close. Okay, super key. Remember, identify, isolate, overcome that objection. Super, super simple. Okay, now what we're going to do, guys, is this. I'm going to pull it up on my computer right here. This is the document right here that you actually have access to. These are the cash discounting objections. Now, again, we only sell cash discount. We don't need to be concerned about the other objections that you come with processing. I don't want to lease equipment. That becomes a non-issue when you're saving them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. Don't even worry about leasing. I have a cancellation fee. Don't worry about that. We pay for cancellation fees, completely fine. The only single objection that you need to learn how to master, there's multiple ways of saying it, and it's in this document. We're going to go through this, guys, is going to be, I don't want to charge my customers because I have fear that I will lose business, okay? I would never do that. I've done it before in the past and it didn't work. I don't want to save all this money. I've already worked it into my cost. We're going to go through all these and actually how you deal with them. But the main thing is to print off this sheet right here, the cash discounting objection sheet, and study each one of them. These are all the responses that we've ever heard in the field selling this over the last 10 years and exactly how you destroy it and how you deal with it. So going through the steps of the sale, remember in step 5, this is the presentation on how cash discounting works. And this is where you're going to be getting these concerns and these objections at this very point. And you need to be, boom, on spot with, I completely understand where you're at right now and I totally get it, but boom, okay? I understand I've been in the same circumstance, but this. I understand they've been in the same circumstance, but this. Feel, felt, and found. Feel, felt, and found concern. Okay? Super important. So getting to it real quick, guys, we'll talk about it, and I'll read them off just so that you can hear them in live action. I don't want to charge my customer. I am not doing that, is exactly what the customer is going to say. I understand most people are, most of my happy and profitable customers said the same thing. They stood in your shoes right where you are right now. The only difference is that those happy clients and you are that they have the program and they're saving money and you're not yet. And I totally understand. You're both in the same shoes. They have it and you don't. That is why I am here, to build up a logical deal for you, not an emotional one. Now, I assure you that the program is over 10 years old and you will not lose any business whatsoever. Let's make a smart and logical decision together, and let's do this. Okay, so that's one of them right there. The next one, I am not that kind of person. You don't understand my customers, or you don't know my customers. That's a huge one. And you can say, look, I understand. I hear this a lot, but fortunately, I do understand your customers. We have sold this program successfully in rich areas, poor areas, small towns, big towns. I have worked with every culture of business, everyone you could imagine in all 50 states. The result was the same. Even if your customers' prices are price conscious, they will always come back here if you have a good product. You know your customer. You simply don't lose business. You simply, with this program, don't lose business. Now let's make a smart, logical decision together and do this. This one comes into play, guys, which is really key, to where you don't know my customer, and I can say, yes, we do. I can pull you up on Yelp right now, and I can guarantee you every review is either a negative review or a positive one, mostly positive, about your product and your service. They come here because of your product. They don't come here because of your price. And if you thought they were that price conscious, all you got to do is look at Yelp, and there's not one person on there that says, oh, I come here for the price. I love the price. If it's a good price, it's a good price. Okay, no reviews. So at the end of the day, even if your customers are price conscious, you won't lose business. And some customers will complain. Yes, I totally understand that. A few will. But at the end of the day, those usually end up being your best customer, and they always come back. They come here for your product, and you like your product. So have faith in your product. Let's do this. Okay, so getting back to it. The next one, guys, super important, is I know if I went into a business and they charged me, I would never come back. That's another one that we hear a lot. Super funny. I understand. We have all been in businesses where we know now over 30% of the market. Okay, so we have this in businesses now, and it's all over the place. It's been in 30% of the market. The problem is that I have to caution you that you're making a mistake thinking that your decisions are the same decisions as everyone else who walks through the door. Making business decisions on what you would do is not the best way to get data. You need to get it from the rest of the world. Okay, you can make your business decision based off of logic. If you would not come back to your business and saying that you're saying that all your customers would come back. Look at it this way. We train you and your staff on how to handle concerns the correct way. Now let's make a smart, logical decision and move forward together. Okay, so the biggest one on this one, guys, I know if I went into a business and if they charge me, I'd never come back. And I go, I completely understand, but that's not a logical way of making a decision. Okay, you want to make a decision for your business and your finances of your business based off of logic. So you saying that you would never come back is the same as saying that all 1,500 of your customers that we discussed would never come back either. So unfortunately, yes, it's a good idea, but at the end of the day, it's not the right area to make a financial decision. Let's make a logical, smart decision. We're going to train you on how to deal with customer concerns. There's a big difference between a customer concern and a complaint. A concern is, what is this fee? Okay, they're just asking. You explain it, you train your customer, they're gone. They come back. Okay, complaint is, I'm never coming back here. You didn't tell me about this. Well, we have the signs listed at the front of the business and the door. They're going to know about this program. Okay, and with the Edge program, it actually puts it in the sale price so the customer doesn't have to worry about it. Okay, getting back to it, guys, the next one is, can I charge my customer less than 4%? That seems a bit high. Okay, the answer to this, guys, is, well, unfortunately, the lowest adjustment we can make is down to 3.5% because of the higher cards. I don't want to promise you free processing only for you to find out that you actually get a small bill. And sometimes cards are actually more expensive than 3.5%. They can actually go a lot higher. Most of them are lower, but some can go higher. So at the end of the day, it's like a light switch. Another thing is too, Mr. Merchant, is you have to understand is that if you have a customer that's going to complain at 4%, they're going to complain at 1%. They're going to complain at 5%. So at the end of the day, remember, there's a difference between a complaint and a concern. You'll have merchants that will have concerns, whether it's 2% or 3%. You might as well go for the full-blown program, get the most amount of protection, and go for the 4%. Okay, big key. Next one, what happens if I lose business? Okay, this is another concern here. It says, great question. I have 100% confidence that you'll love this program and you'll love the savings. And I have confidence that you'll keep the program. But after a solid run of at least 30 to 45 days, if the program's not working and you haven't trained your customers and it doesn't work well, we can reprogram you back to traditional processing. At least at the end of the day, you're going to still save money than what you're doing anyway. Either way, you're making a great decision. Okay, so we're gonna give you this. Let's do this program. Give it 30, 90 days. If it doesn't work, I'm going to train your staff, train your customers. It doesn't work. we'll put traditional in here. And I can guarantee we'll just make traditional better than your past deal. Just give me a statement, we'll make sure it's better. Okay, it's simple as that. Either way, either decision you make today, so remember, I'm assuming the sale. Every decision, John, that you're going to be making today, you're going to sign up with me with this one, or you're going to sign up with me this one today, you're making a great decision. So let's do cash discount, okay? So moving back to it, guys, next one is there's a lot of competition for my business. They will just go down the street, okay? Unfortunately, I say, I understand. So remember Phil Felton found, I understand, but this means you have no confidence in your product. These same people order from Grubhub right now and DoorDash, right? Right, so you know DoorDash and Grubhub charge you 25 to 30% anyway. Well, guess what? They charge the customer 25 to 30% as well. Plus, they have to have a delivery fee. But they're still ordering from here because they want your food. Okay, they do not shy away from the extra 30% more, right? Well, they pay the convenience, but it's also more specific. They want your meal and they want your product. You have a little bit more faith in your customers, but believe in your product and your service. They are not going to go down the street. Now let's make a smart, logical decision together and do this. Again, this is another concern, guys, for their product. You can say, well, look, DoorDub and Grubhub, they use that service anyway, right? So if your restaurant uses this or whatever, or even if it's a retail location, you can say, look, for restaurants, it's the same thing. People like convenience. They pay 30 to 40% more. The convenience they're providing them is that you're taking a card and the bank charges. So you can just tell your customer, yeah, the bank charges us, so we have to charge for our expense. And the merchant goes, oh, okay. Or you can say, you know, hey, instead of raising our prices, we decided to put this program in here and keep our costs low. With COVID, we were actually going to raise our price, you know, but instead of doing that, we kept our price low. We wanted to make sure you had the best price if you use cash. This just helps us save a little bit on processing. Okay, super key right there. And if you need to rewind this part, guys. It's a good response. Okay, next one is going to be, I tried this program before in the past and it didn't work. If you're looking at this, of course, well, you were on the right track then. You know, I will agree with them. Oh, of course you did. Now that's great. You were actually on the right track. It's a great program. You should have kept it in here. But even making the right decisions, sometimes we can make those decisions incorrectly, right? Exactly. So you made the right decision, but you could have made it incorrectly, right? You put the program in here the right way in the business. It sounds like you did it incorrectly. Implementing this program correctly takes training of the staff and a presentation. This is why GoFreePay sets us apart, making our program 98.9% successful in every business that we implemented in. Now let's give this another try. Just because something didn't work before doesn't mean that it's not going to work. Let's make a smart, logical decision together and do this right away. Okay, so key point is say, yeah, I completely understand. You're on the right track. I agree with you. You actually made a great decision. I'm glad that you put it in here. I'm not glad that it didn't work, but to tell you the truth, John, most of the time when we put it in here and it doesn't work, we've found out why. It's because the staff's not trained with the proper responses on how to deal with a concern during that customer training process. Now, it takes about 30 days to train your customer on this program. You put the sign up and you say, hey, you know, if you use a card, you get a discount. So when a customer comes up and says, hey, thanks for the card, but you know, if you use cash, you get a little bit of a discount. And they go, oh, okay. So you can see that you're training your customer, but then eventually after 30 days, everybody knows your sales might actually increase because now you're taking that extra money, you're putting it into marketing, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, that's how you kind of deal with that one. Okay, so moving on, I put in my business, and like I was saying before, guys, I put in my business, didn't work. Well, that's good. You made a great decision, but sometimes you can make the right decision the wrong way. Let's put it in here again. We'll give it another shot, and we'll go from there. Okay, I need to ask my customers how they feel about being charged extra. This is a good one, guys. We get this one all the time. They say, well, you know what? I like it, but you know, I'm going to ask my customers to see how they feel about it. And the funny part is I'd say, well, Mr. Merchant, I get it. I mean, you want to look at your customer data. You want to ask them if they like your food or not like your food. And that's a good way to improve your business. But if you ask they're not the right customer, they're not the right data pool to ask if charging them extra if they'd like that. I can guarantee you right now, everybody you ask says no. They don't want to be charged extra. But the funny thing is that if you ask those same customers, would they rather have your food for free or would they rather pay for it? Well, 95% of them are going to say, yeah, I mean, shit, I'd rather have it for free. I mean, people are brutal. I mean, even if they're your customer and they're your 10-year customer, you know, they're still going to want a free meal. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you have a choice. Okay, so it's like the blue pill in the Matrix or the red pill. Do you want it for free or do you want to pay? Customer's going to go, I'll take the free. Like, thanks for the free food. So this is not really a good market to ask. You're the business owner. You take responsibility for your pricing and you take responsibility for your service. So, you know, it's almost like that's a bad idea to ask your customers because, again, that's the same people that would take your item for free. They wouldn't want to pay for it. So that's a huge one, guys, right there is the best way to respond to that one. Is let me ask my customers to see how they'd feel about being charged extra. Well, it's a bad pool to take a judgment off of and make a logical decision. Okay, here's another one, guys. This one's funny. I can just do it. I looked at everything, but I just can't do this to my customers. I just can't do it. Okay, this is where on this response, we work into net profit. Okay, now we're going to do a very simple example about this, guys. It's also listed in here, so I don't want to read it all off. But let's just do an example of a merchant that has a very low net profit. Okay, net profit means what the owner takes home. Okay, net profit after all expenses are paid. What do I get to take home? So as an owner. So let's just say I'm a pretty good restaurant, but let's say my business makes 20% net profit. 20% net profit. Okay? That means when I sell something for $10, I get to take home $2. I spend all the other money on food and this and that and expenses and rent. So $10, I take home $2. So for every $10 I sell, I make $2 as the owner. Okay? So if my bill is $2,000, that right there with an average ticket of $10, so the average ticket, people come in as $10, let's say it's a pizza place, $10. How many customers is that? That's 1,000 customers. So if I'm saving $2,000, I'm saving 1,000 customers worth of pure net profit that I'm making, right? Okay, so rewind the video if you need help with this to understand that. But if I'm a business owner and I'm making 20% net profit, now remember, for restaurants, the average net profit is between 10 and 25% in the States. 25% is banger. Most of them make about 15%. But if it's 20% and my bill is $2,000 a month, that means that every $10 for me, that $2,000 of pure net profit that I'd be saving with GoFreePay, that is equal to about, 1,000 customers net profit. So with that, if you do the math with the merchant and you say exactly that, then you say, well, your $2,000 in pure net profit that I'm saving you by signing up with me today is actually worth 1,000 customers. So you're trying to tell me that if you're going to charge your customers an extra 40 cents on $10, that you're going to lose 1,000 customers of pure net profit. So logically, it wouldn't even make sense for you to do this program and lose 25 customers because that's worth $25 or that's worth $50 to you. But I'm trying to give you back $2,000. So logically, okay, you'd have to lose 1,000 customers, Mr. Merchant, in the pure net profit that I'm going to save you. You'd literally have to punch every customer in the face that walks in here. So I get it, but let's look at this from a logical perspective. If I'm saving you $2,000 a month with this program and your average ticket is $10 a month, that means that the price of each customer is $2. I'm saving you 1,000 customers worth of energy and effort. What goes into making $2,000 worth of profit for you? What goes into serving 1,000 customers based off this model? Well, the food, the waste, the training, the staff. I'm saving you a lot more than $2,000. I'm saving you time, energy, and effort. Logically, numerically, and mathematically, this program makes sense for your restaurant. You need to have this right now to save $2,000 of pure net profit. Okay? So, moving on with that. I already make enough money. I don't need to save money. This one is absolutely hilarious, guys. I understand. I'm sure you do very well, and I'm sure you didn't get to this point of making a lot of money by making bad financial decisions. Okay, so first off, you don't already make a lot of money. You already make a lot of money. That's phenomenal, but not one business owner that has had a lot of experience like yourself and has made a lot of money got to the top by making bad financial decisions. You didn't make this money by being someone who just throws money away. And right now, based off of what I'm seeing, is that with this program, you're actually throwing money away. You're throwing away pure net profit. So even though you do make a lot of money, you got there by making a good financial decision, by taking care of your customer, by doing a good job with this. And to be honest with you, your customer should be paying for an expense. You're paying for this building. Every expense you pay for, the only one you don't pay for is credit card processing. Okay? So that's a key one right there, guys. Okay? Next one right there is I will just lose too many customers. Let me ask you this. Have you ever raised your prices or set your prices? Customer's going to say, yes, of course I have. Now, did the customers adjust? The answer to this is going to be yes. You have a lot of experience in training your customers. Now you have to make and serve, now you have this service or produce theirs. Train them once again. Now make a smart, logical decision and do this. So the idea with this one, guys, like I will just lose too many customers is no, but let me ask you this. Have you raised your prices? Yes. Okay, great. Well, you've trained your customers then. Did they complain? Yeah, we had a few complaints. Did you lose any? No, we didn't lose any business at all. Okay, so at the end of the day, you've trained them once before, you've raised your prices before, now put this program in here and adjust. Okay, I will just raise my prices to cover the cost. I will just lose too many customers over the fee. We get this one a lot too. They just say, well, I'll just do it myself and I'll raise prices, or I've already raised my prices to account for that expense. And unfortunately, guys, we say, well, I totally understand that, but you're still losing money. And they're gonna say, no, we worked into our price. They say, no, you didn't. I mean, the thing is, you gotta look at it this way, is that no matter what, that is the one thing in your business that you cannot control. Okay, you've already agreed for the lease, you've signed the lease paperwork, you already own the building, you've already decided what products, you've already decided your staff, you've controlled everything, even your prices, except for the fact that this is one expense that you can't make the same net profit on. Like, well, what do you mean? Well, when someone gives you cash, you make more money than if someone gives you a card on the same item, right? So you make more net, you take more home if someone gives you cash than if they give you a card. This is the only program where you can control your net profit, not based off of what everybody else does. Okay, super important. Implement this program, and then you know in your books, when your bookkeeper does your books or when you do your books, you're making the same net profit no matter who spends what or what they buy with. Okay, it's the only way to do it. So you don't just raise your prices because you're still losing money. I mean, you can raise your prices and put this in there, then you've raised your prices and now you still collect the same net profit on every item that you sell in your store, right? So rewind this video, guys, go back through these again. I'm kind of going quickly, but these are very good responses you need to be armored with. And they're also in the objections guide. Then the very last one, this one right here, guys, the very last one. Sorry, here you go, guys. Sorry. The very last one that we're moving on with here is this one of those programs that you charge your customers? I'm not going to do that. Now, this is when we make an appointment, okay? Number 13, we're going to cover that one real quick. So this is the one where it says where you're actually not in the appointment in step 5 presenting. But this is when you're prospecting. Now, later in the steps of the sale, guys, or later in the sales process, we're going to go over training on how to actually prospect. Okay, but the key with this is when you're prospecting and you're saying, hey, listen, this program is 100% free. It's unlimited volume, limited swipes. I'm just trying to see if I can get a time with you tomorrow. Will 2 o'clock or will 3 o'clock work better? And they say, oh, well, I get you, man, but yeah, I can do that, but I don't know how it's free. Is this one of those programs where you save, or sorry, is this one of those programs where you charge your customer? Now, if you say, oh, yes, it is, they're going to automatically put up a roadblock. Remember, you haven't done the steps of the sale before and allow you to get to the right stage in the proper format to sell cash discount. They're just going to shut you off. So in order to get that appointment, we put this in here. We put this in the cash discounting objections on how to deal with that. And how you deal with that is very simple. You say, oh, yeah, well, you know, we have some programs that do that. We have some that don't. It just depends on what you qualify for. We have regular programs, these programs. We have some that charge the customers, some that don't. We have some with free equipment and some with not free equipment. So it really just depends on what you qualify for. Again, I don't have a lot of time to explain it now, but can I meet with you tomorrow? Okay, so you can see right there, guys, how I'm talking to the merchant. We have this response in here. It says, right here. So the thing is, oh, is this one of those programs where you charge your customers? I'm not going to do that. And I say, oh, well, we have all sorts of different programs. It just depends on what you qualify for. We have some that's free, some that cost money, some that are 100% free, that you just pay for the equipment, and some that charges customers and some that don't. So again, I can't really explain it to you right now. I don't have a lot of time, but let's meet tomorrow at 2 or 3 so that I can show you how I can save you 100% off your processing. So they say, okay, cool. So they set the appointment. So we have that in there. Now we're going to go back here. There's 2 on here that are not in here, that are not cash discounting ones. Number 1 is I don't want to lease equipment. Again, we have this in here because the one that we hear the most on leasing equipment. But the biggest part is this one usually never comes up. When someone's fully sold on cash discount, it doesn't matter if their equipment cost is $250 a month for 48 months. It's a lease, right? Well, no one wants to pay a lease. Now, the funny thing is, guys, the only problem is this should not be a big deal. With the lease, you say, well, Mr. Merchant, I completely understand. There's 2 ways around this. Well, number 1 is no one likes contracts. No one likes leases, but unfortunately, they're in them all the time. I'm in a lease for my phone. Right? I'm in a lease for my house. I'm in a mortgage. Actually, I'm on a lease right now, or I'm on a payment plan with my car. I don't actually own my car until I pay it off. It's the same thing. We are in contracts all the time. The same thing is this. There's a lot of programs out there that don't have contracts, but they're going to get their money anyway, no matter what, right? And the biggest thing is that it comes with that. Now, I know that you don't want to lease equipment, but with this program, you have to understand it's a simple choice. On one hand over here, you're paying $1,000 a month for processing, and you have free equipment. Okay, that means that 12 grand is coming out of your bank account every year. Or over here, you have $100 a month for 48 months with leased equipment. Okay, and right then and there, that's $1,200 a year. So you have a simple decision and a simple choice you need to make. Do you want to spend $12,000 a year, without a lease, or do you want to spend $1,200 a year for a lease? Now, it doesn't matter if you're paying $100 for a piece of equipment for 48 months, you're paying $4,800 for a piece of equipment that might cost $500. That's irrelevant. The only decision is how much do you want coming out of your bank account. If we're good to go on the program, who cares about a lease? The second thing is that I give you a car example story. Okay, guys, I say, well, you know, I used to sell cars, Mr. Merchant, and the funny thing is that, yeah, no one wants to pay $4,800 for a $500 terminal. But again, it only matters what comes out of your account. So when someone comes up to me and they want a $20,000 car and they want a discount, I say, yeah, I can give you a discount. I know you don't want to pay 20 grand for the car. How about you pay $5 for the car, but I'm going to charge you $19,000 for the tire? Well, no one wants to pay $19,000 for a tire, but that's still a better deal if it's $5 for the car, $19 for the tire. You still get a $1,000 discount. So again, it's where their mindset is on money that's placed, and it's all to the keep it simple, stupid model. Any objection around a lease or a concern needs to be, look, man, I totally understand. But again, it's just a decision. It's a very simple decision. Do you want to have $12,000 a year come out of your bank account, or do you want to have $1,200 a year come out of your bank account? With a stroke of a pen, let's make this smart decision and we'll go with that. Okay, then number 15, I have a cancellation fee and I need to talk to my company. Okay, that's the next one here. The last one we have for the most common objections around cash discount. Then the two that are the most concerning is I have a cancellation fee, right? And I have to talk to my company. Well, first off, guys, you never want your customer, your potential customer in your sale to ever contact that company. Okay, they know what's going on. Okay, they know that they're trying to be flipped. They know that when they call in, they want to try and cancel. There's another agent there. They're going to say anything that they could do. They even say, oh, look, we'll lower your rates. And to that one, I say, why would you want to work for a company that said that they would lower their rates? They told you that, you know, if anyone comes in with a better deal, call us and we'll match that deal. Why didn't they give you that deal in the first place? You don't want to work with that company. I don't want you calling them at all. At the end of the day, I can promise you, and I'll put it in writing today, we'll pay for your cancellation fee. Now, cancellation fees for processing are usually about $500. So I'll put that in writing for you. Now, if you have a lease, that's something different. That's when you want to call your national accounts director during that equipment stage, right? Where you're in that step 4 and 5, where you discuss equipment with your manager. You're going to call and say, hey, he's a cancellation fee and a lease. Discuss if we can get them out of it or not. Most of the time we can. Not the lease, but the equipment. But sometimes if it's less time on the lease, it's the same amount as cancellation fee. You might as well pay that off and get them our equipment. And sometimes if they're making a transition, guys, listen to this. With traditional processing and a lease, sometimes it makes sense for them to even take our lease with our equipment and pay their old lease. It is still way cheaper than their total processing bill and the lease with cash discount. Okay, now let me repeat that. Sometimes it makes sense to tell the merchant you're in a non-cancelable lease on this equipment with this other company. It's $80 a month, but you paying the $80 a month with them and the $90 a month or $100 a month with us, it's $180, is still cheaper than $700. So if you go with cash discount, we'll get you our machine, but you can put that one in the box or throw that one away, but you're still gonna have to pay that. That still makes financial sense. This situation with 2 leases from another company and ours and cash discounting, or you with your current company and processing, like it's $700 a month or it's $200 a month. You make a choice, right? Very simple. So with that in mind, guys, with the to-do list, what do we want to do for the very last part of the objections? Rewatch this video, go through this section again, listen to my responses, print off the objections manual, the cash discounting objections, study those, write the objections down so that you know what to do, role play in front of a mirror, memorize the objection answers, find a friend, practice with a friend, and practice, practice, practice. Okay? So the key part with this, guys, that you want to take away is this, is that anytime I get a response, and you'll hear in the hot sessions, I don't want to charge my customer. I have this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to ask them if I want to do business, this or that. When they come out and I hear them, I have an on-demand response. Okay? And then it circles around to the close. On-demand response, circle to the close. On-demand response, circle to the close. The better you present the deal, the less of these objections you'll get and these concerns. But if you've noticed, I use this, the feel, felt, and found, isolate, and identify, and overcome, and ignore the objection along with the proper responses. So this is something you need to study. You need to go through, you need to hear the objections live, and the best training that you get is going to be in the field, but you want to be as prepared as possible. So print off that stuff, guys, and go through those objections. That brings us, guys, to the very end of the training. So thank you so much, guys, for training or for joining us on training day 1. Again, my name is Carson Cook. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Move on to the next section on training day 2. Then you have that quiz, and thanks for joining us, guys.